back to Braintree Today. I'm Martha Constantinides and you're watching BCAM TV. We'll be getting you right into our coronavirus updates for the week. Thursday night, reports were released that President Donald Trump and the First Lady Melania Trump tested positive for COVID-19. Details on when he was infected and who else may be at risk have yet to be released, but we'll keep continuing to update the story as information is announced. Going back to our Massachusetts updates, since no new medical breakthroughs have been made, Massachusetts is still moving forward with Phase 3 of the reopening plan. The state will continue to monitor health trends as Governor Charlie Baker releases updates to the public. Here's more from his press conference on September 29th.
Yesterday, the Department of Public Health reported about 13,000 new molecular tests were given to new individuals. 367 of those returned as new positive cases. The Commonwealth continues to be a national leader in testing more people per capita per day than any other state in the country.
The governor went on to discuss the 7-day average of positive tests in Massachusetts and how many people are currently hospitalized with COVID-19.
The 7-day average for the statewide positive test rate has been at 0.9% for the past 4 consecutive days. That's one of the lowest positive test rates in the U.S. 418 patients are currently hospitalized, many of whom are actually not hospitalized to be treated for COVID, and 85 are in the ICU.
The state of Massachusetts tracks the severity of cases on a town-by-town map as we move forward with COVID-19. With most locations in the green or gray signifying low positive test rates, the governor decided to take the next step in the state's plan.
I did sign an executive order that will allow lower risk communities to advance to step 2 of the 3rd phase of the Commonwealth's reopening. Lower risk communities are the gray, green, and yellow towns on the weekly COVID-19 risk map, provided that they've been lower risk for 3 consecutive reporting periods.
Governor Baker went on to address who will be allowed to open in step 2 of phase 3 and when this decision will take into effect.
Most businesses have been open for a few months now, and the data makes clear that people have been acting responsibly in most circumstances. Today's order addresses indoor performance venues and indoor recreational facilities like laser tag. It does not address large venues like stadiums and arenas. This order goes into effect about a week from now on Monday, October 5th.
Baker passed it over to Lieutenant Governor Karen Polito to further discuss new updates and regulations. Here's more from Polito on September 29th.
Indoor performance venues will be permitted to open with 50% capacity with a maximum of 250 people. Performers are excluded from that capacity number. Outdoor performance venue capacity will increase to 50% with a max of 250 people. For arcades and indoor and outdoor recreation businesses, additional step 2 activities like trampolines, obstacle courses, roller rinks, and laser tag will also be permitted to open, and capacity will increase to 50%. Fitting rooms will be permitted to open in all types of retail stores. Gyms, museums, libraries, and driving and flight schools will also be permitted to increase their capacity to 50%.
For more information on rules and safety regulations, you can visit mass.gov/reopening. Boston Mayor Marty Walsh also held a press conference on September 30th where he discussed updated numbers in the city of Boston.
Boston's positive rate this week was 3.5%. That's up from 2.7% in the 7 previous days. So that is a jump that we have not seen in the city in some time, a 3.5% infection rate.
With this, the Boston mayor announced his decision to not move forward with the governor's newest step in the reopening plan.
I can confirm today that we'll not be moving forward yet into step 2, phase 3. That means we're not going to be opening indoor performance venues. We're not going to see increased capacity at outdoor performance venues. It will stay at 25% with a maximum of 50 people. Certain activities will remain closed, like trampoline parks, obstacle courses, roller rinks, and laser tag.
Walsh took a moment to further discuss Boston's positive case numbers and what brought him to make this decision for the city.
The numbers that we're seeing are not surprising for a city like Boston. As the governor said yesterday, the number of universities we have puts us in a very unique position. Public health experts expect that more infections would come with more activity this fall, especially with the start of an academic school year here in the city. We've worked closely with our colleges on their testing, tracing, and all of their safety protocol. They have done a good job, and their positive rates are generally very low. But there is additional activity, and I want to be clear that we're seeing increases in both colleges and non-college numbers. This is not isolated to colleges, so we want to make sure we continue to be safe here.
Since July, there has been an increase in coronavirus cases in Massachusetts, and as of Monday, September 28th, there were over 400 COVID-19 cases in Massachusetts hospitals, and an increase of 10 from Sunday, September 27th, which itself had an increase of 54 from Saturday. The three-day average of COVID-19 hospitalizations is at 393, which is 85 more than the average just 2 weeks ago, and the current three-day average is 30% higher than it was at its lowest. With hopes to keep moving forward in the fight against COVID-19, Governor Charlie Baker and Boston Mayor Marty Walsh will continue to update the public as more information is being released. Stay tuned for more on Braintree Today. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Braintree Today. With Massachusetts still in Phase 3 of the reopening plan, the town of Braintree continues to release important updates and news regarding the virus. Since last week, Braintree Town Hall has reported 28 new cases, bringing the total number of positive cases in the town up to 1,047. The town hasn't reported any new fatalities in over a month, which has kept the death toll in Braintree at 120. According to the new town-by-town data released by the state on Wednesday, almost a third of Massachusetts communities, including Braintree, have seen rising COVID-19 positive test rates over the last 2 weeks. Braintree is now categorized as a yellow community, a designation given to cities and towns that average 4 to 8 cases per 100,000 people daily. The past 2 weeks, Braintree has conducted over 2,000 tests, 64 of which came back positive. The town's percent positive rate over the last 2 weeks rose to 1.63%. Mayor Kokoris released a statement addressing the issue where he said, quote, "Nearly half of these residents that tested positive were between the ages of 20 and 29 years old, and less than 1% are residents over the age of 60. I want to take this opportunity to remind all of our residents that we must remain vigilant against the spread of COVID-19, especially as we have seen an increase in positive cases within our community." End quote. In other news, school committee met this past week on September 28th and entered into an executive session to discuss the memorandum of understanding between the Braintree Public School System and teachers. After coming out of executive session, the committee approved the decision to ratify the memorandum. Rules and Ordinance Committee also met this past week. Here's Petra Lynch with more on what they discussed.
The Ordinance and Rules Committee met this week to go over new amendments and rules that were being proposed by District Councilors Meredith Barica and Stephen C. O'Brien. On the September 28th meeting, District 5 Councilor Meredith Barica presented her proposal to the committee to change Rule 35, the Citizens Participation Rule, in hopes to provide Braintree residents with more of an opportunity to address the council on agenda items during meetings. Some of the members had concerns, such as District 1 Councilor Julia Flaherty, who noted that the proposed change may violate open meeting laws. However, it was later clarified that Barica was only proposing the discussion of an item already listed on the agenda, but with a notice period to give residents an expanded opportunity to participate. Then during the September 30th meeting, District 4 Councilor Stephen C. O'Brien proposed a new rule called Rule D that would involve the pre-filing of town council business. He expressed his past frustration with not having enough time to look over documents pertaining to council sessions because they were provided shortly before the start of those meetings. O'Brien hopes that the new rule, Rule D, would allow council members more time to look over important documents by making sure individuals and departments file materials within a certain amount of days before the session date.
Thanks, Petra. Stay tuned for more on Braintree Today. We'll be right back. Welcome back, Braintree. This past weekend, Braintree residents overwhelmingly voted in support of a $63 million debt exclusion to go towards a new South Middle School and other school building projects, according to unofficial results. On all 4 ballot questions, over 70% of voters voted yes to approve these projects. Mayor Kokora said in a statement, quote, "In spite of the hardships presented by the pandemic, our community showed its true strength and character," end quote. You can find the results from Saturday's special election on results.enr.clarityelections.com/MA/Braintree. You can also visit www.parentsquare.com for more information and updates. In other news, the Baker-Polito administration took action to protect public health and drinking water supplies by finalizing regulations that establish enforceable standards for public drinking water systems. These have impacted by per- and polyfluoroalkyl substances and require regular testing for the contaminants. State officials have awarded the Tri-Town Water Board for Braintree, Holbrook, and Randolph a $200,000 grant to protect the drinking water supply from toxic chemicals. The grant will be used for planning, studies, engineering, and design work necessary to remove PFAS at the Tri-Town Regional Water Treatment Plant. In more news, Massachusetts members of Congress have been calling for the federal government to block the planned opening of the Weymouth compressor station due to equipment failures that led to multiple emergency shutdowns in the past few weeks. Most recently, on September 23rd at 10:30 a.m., the emergency shutdown system was activated and, quote, operated as designed and safely isolated the station and vented the natural gas in a controlled manner, according to a representative at Enbridge, the natural gas distribution company. This is the second emergency shutdown from the station this month. Enbridge recently announced plans to work on the compressor, but due to recent events, they've delayed their projects until further notice. On another note, Massachusetts drivers will soon have to take more caution while driving when exit numbers begin changing this October. The Federal Highway Administration is requiring that highways feature mile-based exit numbers instead of the sequential system currently in place. In addition to routes 3, 25, 140, and I-95, they include state routes 24 and 128, U.S. Route 6, and interstates 93, 95, and 295. U.S. Route 3, which begins at the Braintree Split and winds through Boston, will also have its exit signs changed. For more information, you can visit www.newmassexits.com. In other news, on October 15th, the Braintree Chamber of Commerce will be holding a chat with state representative candidates Mark Cusack and Frank Collins. We had the opportunity to speak with Chair of the Braintree Chamber, Kimberly Croa, to get more information on the event.
Definitely. Yeah, so it's October 15th at 11 a.m. and it's all virtual over Zoom. The program is free to anybody who's interested. You need to pre-register to get the Zoom information. But the Braintree Chamber serves as a liaison between the businesses in the community and both the local and state representatives and legislatures. So we have been trying to, particularly with everything that's happened over the past 6 months, figure out how we can be a resource for businesses. we started out after things shut down with doing periodic business updates. And we were very lucky to have a lot of help from both local and state representatives, from the mayor of Braintree, from the senators and the state representatives, to be on those calls and give an economic update. As summer came, things started to reopen. We backed off a little bit, but now people are getting back to business, more or less, depending on the business and the aspects that are in there. And really, it's become more and more apparent that the people who are leading the towns, leading the state connection with the towns are more and more important. And a lot of the state legislation that's either pending or has come out really directly affects Braintree. So we wanted to have a conversation with the candidates. Mark Cusack has been in office for a period of time. Frank Collins is new. This is his first race. And we thought it would be a great opportunity to give each candidate a chance to talk and tell the people of Braintree, and their district also includes a part of Randolph and Holbrook, tell the people what their thoughts are on different issues affecting Braintree businesses.
Absolutely. So going into the actual event a little bit more, what are some topics you hope will be discussed at the presentation?
So some of the things that I think are particularly important are economic recovery. There's legislation pending at the state level. There are aspects of controls and restrictions that directly affect the businesses and how they can reopen. And there's business traffic. I think there's a lot of issues that go into the economy, and that'll be the forefront of the conversation. One of the other issues I want to talk about, which I wouldn't have thought about in prior years as being a business issue, but is the public school system. We've certainly seen in 2020 how much of a business issue the public schools are, where you have parents of young children like myself trying to figure out how to manage work and schooling and trying to deal with the remote. And on a state level, what the representatives might or might not be able to do to help that situation, to try to all work towards the common goal of getting the kids back in the school on something that looks a little bit more like it did back at the beginning of 2020 or all years prior. So a couple other issues we want to talk about are housing. And of course, there's, one of the topics that's business, social, civil, is the law and order issues that are going on right now. And we'd like to get the thoughts on that. And then going into the economy is transportation. Of course, the Red Line serves as our direct connection with Boston, and most of the Boston offices, a lot of them are still virtually closed down, but obviously the MBTA has had issues and problems going past, and now it's become even more of an aspect of business that's very important for businesses that are located in Braintree and for people who are in Braintree and depending on having their employees come from other areas.
Absolutely. Those are some very important topics, especially in our location and statewide. So Can you give some more details on how people can watch and get involved with the event?
Yes, definitely. So BraintreeChamber.com. Braintree Chamber is a subset of South Shore Chamber, so you can go to either website. But if you go directly to BraintreeChamber.com, there's an events button. There's also a blog post on there that has a recap of some of the other business updates that we had. And the registration link is on there. You register, it's free to register, and you get the Zoom information. And then, as I had mentioned, the event is October 15th at 11 a.m. And you can watch real time, or we'll have the recording available afterward if you're not able to make it at that point during the day also.
Absolutely. So that's a majority of the questions I have today. Do you have any last thoughts that you'd like to just add in?
Yes, definitely. So the Braintree Chamber, we have, as I mentioned, trying to come up with different ways to be a resource to businesses. And we encourage people to reach out to us with any particular ways that they feel that we can help. We have been talking to the mayor's office, talking to the town of Braintree, talking to our state senators and representatives on what we can do to help the businesses. But we definitely want to hear from the Braintree businesses also and hear directly on how we can incorporate and accommodate and try to help those businesses as best as possible. I've lived in Braintree for 12 years. I'm an attorney at Baker Braverman Barbadoro, so our office is in Quincy, but I do a lot of work in Braintree, and people can reach out to me directly. I've been chair of the Braintree Chamber for a few months now, so it's all new and trying to figure out ways to help out. But my email, kimberlyk@bbb-lawfirm.com. Feel free to send me an email. We have a Facebook page. Check out our Facebook page. You can send messages through there with the Braintree Chamber. And we look forward to having this conversation with the candidates. We're very thankful that Mark Cusack and Frank Collins are giving us their time during this busy campaign season to have this conversation. And we look forward to talking to them and continuing our conversation with the Braintree businesses.
After a full week of in-person classes, school officials said that a Quincy student has tested positive for the coronavirus. The students from Brooks Middle School was attending in-person classes at Quincy High School. Principal Daniel Gilbert said the parents reached out to Assistant Superintendent Aaron Perkins on Sunday and made the district aware of the positive test. All staff members and families of students who were in contact with the student have been reached out to in regard of the positive test. In other news, the Boston Red Sox are parting ways with Ron Renneke, who led the team to a 23-36 record heading into Sunday afternoon's season finale. Red Sox Chief Baseball Officer Chaim Bloom said in a statement, quote, "While we believe that moving forward, we will benefit from a new leadership and new energy that does not diminish how strongly we feel about Ron," end quote. Bloom said the team would begin looking for Renneke's replacement immediately. In more news, the presidential debate took place this past Tuesday, September 29th. The candidates President Donald Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden took the stage as 73.1 million people tuned in to watch what was considered the worst debate in history. The two were to debate on a variety of topics, including COVID-19, the economy, and law enforcement, just to name a few. After the event, Massachusetts politicians turned to Twitter to post their reactions and to urge citizens to go out and vote. This was the first of 3 presidential debates, and next week we'll see Vice President Mike Pence and Senator Kamala Harris face off in the vice presidential debate. If you'd like to rewatch the event, you can head over to youtube.com for their streams of the debate. On another note, hundreds marched through the streets of Dorchester demanding justice for the death of Breonna Taylor. The rallies come just 3 days after Kentucky officials announced officers would not face charges directly for Taylor's death back in March, but rather for charges for shooting through a wall, endangering the apartment next door to her. Thank you for watching Braintree today. We'll be back with more in entertainment. Welcome back. Now I'm joined by Petra Lynch for What's New in Entertainment. What's happening this week, Petra?
There are lots of interesting movies and TV shows to watch this week. For instance, on Netflix, you can check out a new comedy film from Mexico and a Netflix original show from the creator of the hit series Sex and the City. Also, network television is back with new fall lineups, so check out the series premiere of a PBS masterpiece program that is bursting with mystery and drama. Tune in to Netflix for You Got This, a Mexican rom-com that follows Alex, an ad creative, and his successful lawyer wife, who have a great marriage but hit a hurdle when he desperately wants to be a dad, just as she's at the top of her career. Their love is challenged when an unexpected guest enters their lives. Also, be sure to watch the new Netflix original series, Emily in Paris. From the creator of Sex and the City, this new series follows Emily Cooper, played by Lily Collins, a 20-something woman from the Midwest who is tasked with bringing an American perspective to a venerable marketing firm located in Paris. Cultures clash as she adjusts to her new life in a foreign city while juggling work, friends, and romance. Network television is back for the fall after being delayed due to COVID. So check out the series premiere of PBS's newest masterpiece program, Flesh and Blood. The 4-part family drama and thriller stars British actress Imelda Staunton and Francesca Annis. The series follows the lives of 3 adult siblings whose lives are disrupted when their recently widowed mother declares she is in love with a new man. The tangled web of secrets, lies, and rivalries and betrayals eventually leads to a murder. New in music this week is the release of Blackpink's first full studio album titled The Album. As one of the biggest and most popular girl groups in the world, Blackpink's comeback was highly anticipated by fans across the globe. The album had already received over 1 million stock pre-orders, both domestic and international, a volume that exceeded YG Entertainment's initial estimate. The 10-track album includes their pre-release singles, How You Like That and Ice Cream with Selena Gomez. Also, the music video for their already announced title track, Lovesick Girls, was recently released on October 2nd. The video is both colorful and emotional, as the girls sing about owning their independence through heartbreak. The empowering song is more of a pop anthem than the trap pop bangers that preceded it. The album also features a collaboration with popular rapper Cardi B for the song Bet You Wanna. The album can now be streamed on Spotify, Apple Music, and Amazon Music. And the music video for Lovesick Girls can now be watched on Blackpink's official YouTube channel, along with the videos for How You Like That and Ice Cream with Selena Gomez.
Thanks, Petra. I can't wait to catch up on some of those this weekend. Thank you for watching Braintree Today. That was Petra Lynch, and I'm Martha Constantinides. That's all we have for news this week. See you next time.